Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're doing the 5th winter 13-14 roundup. Today we're going to have a look at things like sea surface temperature anomalies, solar activity, Siberian snow cover, see what's going on, what's happened since the last time I did the video, the fourth one, a couple of weeks ago. Now you know that this is all building up to eventually on the 1st of December the final and official GavsWeatherVids.com winter 13-14 seasonal forecast. So that's on the 3rd of December. All these updates are building up and building the picture. Eventually we are going to have to come to a conclusion about what's going to happen, or what I think is going to happen through the course of the winter. Now, before I go on video, I've got several things to mention. First of all, I've got my water with me, as I do all the time now for my videos, because I've got the cough. It's still ongoing, although I'm hoping it's going to get better soon, because I'm taking some medication now. It's very annoying. I'm not sick with it. I know some of you have been a bit worried about the cough. I am okay. I'm not ill. It's just very irritating and annoying in my throat. It must be very annoying for you to listen to, because it's very annoying for me to have to keep coughing. So sorry for that. If I do have to stop to have a drink of water and cough, I hope you'll bear with me. And again, sorry for that. The advertising, there's video ads on my pages at GavsWeatherVids.com. If you press play on the video ad, you'll be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com. You don't necessarily have to sit through and watch the whole thing. Just press play on the ad, and yeah, you do support the website when you do that. The Gav shop is open for business. That's something else I've got to tell you. If you want to do any Christmas shopping at Amazon.co.uk, go through from the Amazon banners in Gav shop and do your Christmas shopping at the same time. Gavs Weathervids will get a royalty. All of the models that you see, or all of the charts, I should say, but not models today, all of the charts that you see can be got to from my links page. A link to all of this is on my links page for these websites that I'm using for the video. And the last thing really just say is thanks very much for your ongoing support of GavsWeatherVids.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. I do the videos primarily for my own enjoyment, but I do love it that you guys embrace the videos and website so much. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for embracing the videos and what I do. It does make it worthwhile. And just enjoy the video. So let's get on and have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies. First of all, we're going to start on the 3rd of October. This is the situation on the 3rd of October in terms of the oceans. What I'm interested in is mainly the Pacific actually today. This was a situation through the ENSO region, that is the date line along the equator of the Pacific Ocean. He was at neutral, but he was on the cold side of their ENSO neutral on the 3rd of October with all of this chilly water through this middle part of the ENSO region there. We've also got this very cold area setting up to off the coast of Alaska and off the Pacific coast of Canada and northern parts of America. As I said, that's typically a cold place in the Pacific, so you would expect to see that. If you remember back in September, it was quite warm up there, but it did cool off as we went through the latter part of September into the early part of October. And the Atlantic was very warm, particularly in the northern and central part of the Atlantic, which I think has contributed a lot to the very wet and stormy October that we've had in the British Isles. But a very warm Atlantic, neutral sort of ENSO region in the Pacific, but on the cool side, and this cold water up off the coast of Alaska, Canada, and Northern America. So going through to the latest chart, which is from the 31st of October, very interesting developments are taking place through the ENSO region. It's warmed quite a lot actually through October. If we go back, have a look at the 3rd, there's the coolish water through the ENSO region of the Pacific on the 3rd of October. Go forward, definite warming has taken place along the date line. Now, we're not at El Nino yet, nowhere near it, but it certainly has warmed a lot through the ENSO region. And, of course, I did say, but I thought we were going to shift from the cool side of ENSO neutral, from the La Nina side of ENSO neutral, to the El Nino side of ENSO neutral. And that certainly does seem to be occurring. We certainly do seem to be seeing a shift to more of an El Nino type pattern, albeit still at neutral. So that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. I expect to see further warming along the date line over the next few weeks, to be honest. Also quite interesting is this part of the Pacific just up here off the coast of Alaska and down into Canada and Northern America, because it's warmed again. If you remember, I'll just quickly go back, you remember to the last chart on the 3rd of October, it's quite cold up there, but it's warmed again up there, and of course we had that warm water up there in September and through the latter part of the summer, and that's quite unusual. There aren't many winters but have been warm, but I can find in this part of the ENSO region. I didn't think I'd have to worry about it, to be honest, because as it started to turn cold up there in the early part of October, I thought that was it, we were just going to turn it cold and I wouldn't really need to think about it. But I may have to start looking again at this. I may have to come up with some winters that were quite warm in that part of the northern Pacific. In any case, it probably, if this continues into winter, does imply that there'll be some sort of a ridge setting up around Alaska, around this warm water, through winter, and that probably goes with this warming through the Pacific region of the ENSO region as well. And a ridge up there across Alaska and the Pacific coast of Canada and North America probably transfers to a trough of low pressure on the eastern side of America and in the northeast. The jet stream, you won't be able to see it because America is kind of black this, but the jet stream rises up over the ridge and then dives southwards across around the trough in the east of the United States. So based on this, if I had to make a forecast for America this winter, it would very much be a colder than average winter. I do think America is going to have a much colder winter than they've had for quite some time. The key to this, and this is a theory that comes from Joe Bastardi, is to get it warmer in this region, this middle region of the Pacific, compared to this region just here off the Peruvian coast, the coast of Peru. If you get it warm there and cooler there, even if you don't necessarily reach the El Nino threshold, don't have to reach an El Nino threshold, but if you get it warmer there, a Modiki, I should say, El Nino signature, and cooler there, that does really imply that they're going to get it in the United States. I think that's the kind of thing we're going to see this winter. We probably won't get to an El Nino, but I think it'll be warmer in this middle part of the Pacific and cooler towards the coast of Peru. This warm water occurring up here just sort of adds to the mixture of there's going to be a ridge up in the Pacific coast of the United States and Canada and a trough in the east. Now for us, what we're specifically interested in is the Atlantic, because with that cold signature setting up for America, what we're interested in is how this is going to impact our weather, and what we're looking for is the tripod, which is the warm, cold and warm bands, and we're not that far from it, to be honest. The Atlantic is still very warm. It's in its warm phase. We're in the warm phase of the Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation, of course, so you would expect the Atlantic to be warm, and it's certainly warm to the coast of Greenland, to the south of Greenland. It's certainly warm through the tropical Atlantic, but what we need to do is generate more cold water through this middle part of the Pacific. If we could start generating some cold water in there, then we would get the tripole signature, and the tripole signature, if it was in conjunction with what's going on in the Pacific, and if it was in the equatorial Pacific, and if it was in conjunction with what's going on up here off the coast of Alaska and Canada and the Pacific coast of America, then the tripole will probably act to give us a cold winter along with the east of the states as well. That happened in 2009, 2010, but we don't have a tripole yet. We've got to keep monitoring the Atlantic. We had a tripole in May, and I did the NAO forecast based on those May sea surface temperature anomalies. I said I'm expecting a tripole to re-emerge through the winter. There's not much sign, or there's not a lot of signs of the tripole coming back yet, but we're going to keep watching that. But very interesting what's happening in the Pacific, and I do think things are setting up very nicely for a cold winter in the United States. That would be my call for America, a much colder winter than they've had for a long time. Solar activity next. This is the solar disk on our side of the disk today, and this is from the website solarham.net. We have got some sunspot activity. Officially, the solar activity today is designated as low, but we have been up to moderate at times through the last few weeks. Never really getting up to strong or very strong activity, but yeah, we have got some sunspots, but overall it's a weak solar maximum. We are either past or at, or I say past solar maximum now. It's a very, very weak solar maximum, whatever happens, but we may see a little bit of a ramp up with this activity over the next few days and weeks. We could just get up to strong, but I would suspect most of the time will be at moderate, and many occasions will still be at low. But certainly there has been a little bit more activity over the last few weeks, and that could have helped to niggle the jet stream a little bit through this very unsettled October. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how long the time lag is, but certainly there's been a bit more activity, and we've had a much more Atlantic dominated October, so that's quite interesting how that has occurred. But overall, a very weak solar maximum. Of course, that doesn't guarantee anything. I think some of the forecasters, some of the more usual suspects that you see in the papers going for sort of winter Armageddon scenarios, I'm convinced that a lot of these people are assuming that very weak solar cycles means that every single winter is going to be severely cold, there'll be lots of heavy snow every single winter, there'll be blizzards all the way, and it doesn't guarantee anything. Even with solar cycles weaker than that, it's much too simple to say that guarantees a cold winter every time. I liken it to loading a dice. It's like loading a dice in favour of a given outcome, so it does help. It increases the probability or the possibility of getting winter blocking, and winter blocking feeds back to a cold winter. But of course it's where the blocks sit, and I do think there will be blocking this winter. I think the United States is going to have a cold winter this year. I think there'll be a lot of blocking up over parts of Canada, and that'll feed the cold air into the States. So the idea is correct that there will be more blocking in this very weak, in this winter of the very weak solar cycle. But where the blocking sits is the key, and whilst it's like loading a dice, it doesn't guarantee that we're going to have a really cold and wintry winter. But nevertheless, it's a weak solar cycle. We have and we are loading the dice in favour of blocking with this. Next thing I want to look at is the hurricane activity. It's been an incredibly weak hurricane activity. I can't really explain what's happened with this hurricane season, to be honest. Very unusual hurricane season, with just 13 depressions, 12 storms, and 2, yes, that's right, just 2 hurricanes. Very strange season, and no major hurricanes either, category 3 or above. Really, really weak hurricane season. Now, I can't explain really why that's happened, because we've got a very warm Atlantic. It is in the period of the warm IMO, so you will expect with a warm Atlantic Ocean that we'd have a lot of hurricanes. But similar to the solar activity, just because you're in a warm Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation period, just because you're in that, it doesn't guarantee that every single year is going to get a lot of hurricanes, just as being in the weak period of the solar cycles doesn't guarantee that every single winter for us will be cold. So it's the same idea. We've loaded the dice, or we are loading the dice in favour of big hurricane seasons most years, but there will always be years that deviate from the norm. This is one of those years, and it's a very, very quiet hurricane season. Now, the reason I like to look at the hurricane season is that the idea of what a hurricane is doing is that it's dumping heat from the tropics into the mid-latitudes and eventually into the pole. It's kind of a way that the Earth regulates its temperature. It takes the heat out of the tropical areas where it's hottest, moves the heat up into the pole, and overall the temperature should even out. It's kind of like reaching an equilibrium, or the Earth is trying to reach an equilibrium, but it never really gets to it. It's never able actually the Earth to reach an equilibrium. But nevertheless, that's what it's doing. It's taking the heat from one part of the Earth and dumping it into another part, namely the pole. Now, when you get a lot of heat being dumped into the pole with these hurricane seasons, it can sometimes transfer into an increased risk of blocking, because of course with the heat in the pole, that translates to higher pressure and probably more melting of the ice, and all of that feeds back into the risk of blocking. So the fact that we've had a weak hurricane season, a very, very weak hurricane season, actually, probably one of the quietest on record, I'll have to check that, but really, really quiet season. The fact that we have that probably negates a little bit the chance of a cold winter, but that's offset against the solar cycle, so it's all swings and roundabouts, and this is the idea of what we're building up with this. We're building up this picture so that eventually I've got to put it all together and sort of balance it all out and try to come to a winter forecast. With so many conflicting signals, really is a nightmare winter to pin this one. I'll be glad to get it out of the way, I've got to be honest. Final thing we're going to look at is Siberian snow cover. This is the latest in terms of snow cover across the Siberian plain. We filled it in nicely across this region, central and eastern parts of Siberia. Filled that in nicely through October. There was a big increase in activity. We've been less good at pushing it into the west so far, and this is the critical area actually for us. And now we're starting to lag a little bit, would you believe? After such a quick start through October, we are lagging now in this region through western parts of Russia, and we're also lagging over Scandinavia as well. I'd like to see this area fill up quite quickly with such a strong Atlantic bringing westerlies and southwesterlies in. I think we're going to struggle in the immediate future anyway to fill this area up with snow. We've been running very close to 2002. This was the position on the 1st of November, same day as that chart there. This was the position in 2002. Actually, we had more snow cover at this point in 2002 over Scandinavia, and we had more snow cover across northern parts of western Russia as well. But excuse me, we was lagging to the south, and we was lagging, I should say, to the south of western Russia in 2002. So we're probably similar, but less over Scandinavia, and that's an important area. And 2012, actually, would you believe, despite the fact that through most of this snow cover season we've been well above 2012, we are now lagging behind 2012, because at this point, the 1st of November 2012, we had filled up most of Scandinavia actually with snow. Most Scandinavia was covered, and much of northern Russia was covered in the west as well. So whilst we hadn't got much down here, we had got a lot more to the north in that part of Russia, and also across Scandinavia as well, and we are quite clearly now lagging behind 2012, and 2012 was a really slow start, but what happened in 2012 was quite extraordinary. And I think that what happened, how quickly we filled it up, not just in the east but across the Siberian plain into Scandinavia, I think that did play a big part in what happened last winter. So what's gone on again, I think, the way we've filled this up across central and eastern parts of Russia very quickly, I think that does imply again that we're likely to see a lot of blocking there, and it could well be that the blocking goes more that way, goes across the pole in towards Canada, and again that's another signal for a very cold winter for the United States. Everything that I am seeing at the moment is pointing to a really cold winter for America. If you've got friends in America, do let them know. I think you're really going to get it much more this winter than you have done for the last few. But for us, well, it's this region further towards Europe. It's this region just here. We've got to start filling that up with snow pretty soon, I think, and Scandinavia as well. So I'll be keeping an eye on that over the next week or two. It's conflicting signals for us. It remains a really hard winter to pin down. Shame I'm not doing this for America, because it's a very clear signal that they're going to have a cold winter in the eastern and northeast of America. But for us, again, it's conflicting signals. It's hard to pin it down. I'm not expecting any great deviations over this final month of the period as we build up to winter forecast. I'm expecting it to be a very confused picture right up to the 1st of December when I do the winter 2013-2014 forecast, and eventually I'll have to come up with an idea of what I think is going to happen. I am forming a little bit of an idea at the back of my mind, so we are getting there. But it's a really hard winter to pin down, this one, and I'll be glad when we're past it, to be honest. That's it for now. Thanks for watching the video. I know it's been a long video. I hope you found it enjoyable. Come back this evening to the events page, where I'll be doing the second forecast for Christmas. So if you're interested in Christmas weather, come back for that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll have to have a drink of water. Bye for now.